What's up, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I'd like to give a big shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters: Mystical Watermelon, Mimetic Hazard, Slayer G88, Tools of Triptychon, Game God 4, Kashiga, Jaeger Lee, Tony Benavidez, Stanley D. Camp, Raymond Mulder, Bradley Murphy, Papa Neeks, The Whiskey Laddie, Oxy Kitten, Robert Wayne, and Fuji TV. And I would also like to give a big shout out to our executive producer, The Anime Hybrid. Thank you all very much for your support. And if you want to support us on Patreon, feel free to check out the link down below to find out more. We'll see you there.
Whoa! Where did you come from? Check it out. You're gonna die. You know what? I need to do something about this because I'm not having enough fun playing this game. Yo! Now that I've got you right where I want you, I'm challenging you to a Pokemon battle, sucker. Get out of here! Me and you.
I think in life we have all had bad things happen to us at some point or another. I mean, I can't really say the worst thing that's happened to me because honestly I don't think YouTube would allow this video to be up. But I will tell you about one of the worst things that ever happened to me. It was actually something bad that happened to my mom, and in turn, it affected all of us. My mom was in a very bad car accident, and the fact that she survived is... I don't know whether, you believe in miracles or not, but my mom was going 60 miles an hour. She passed out behind the wheel of her car. She hit a concrete divider that was in the median, pretty much at almost head-on speed, or pretty much like head-on, and she wasn't wearing her seatbelt, and she got launched out of the sunroof of her car. They don't know how high in the air she flew, but they found where she hit the pavement. She smacked the pavement and broke, I think, 3 of her, clean breaks of her vertebrae, which they had to fuse together, cracked her sternum, punctured a lung, had a very bad concussion, I think 3 broken ribs as well, and a severe laceration on her arm, pretty much from here to here. And I'll never forget when I got the phone call. I was at my dad's, and I was sitting there waiting for him to get home from work, and all of a sudden, the phone call comes through on my dad's landline, and I remember I called Dad. Dad came home from work immediately. We drove to the hospital, and just seeing my mom in pretty much a complete body cast, her arm stitched all the way up, all the machines going into her and everything, my heart dropped out of my friggin' chest, and I thought that she was going to die. And thankfully she didn't. And within, I think it was 6 months, she was walking around again unassisted. She still had part of the cast on her torso, and she had to do physical rehabilitation, but yeah, she eventually was able to walk around again, and she made pretty much almost a full recovery. She still has back pain every now and again, but that comes with the accident that happened. So yeah, that's the worst thing that ever happened. That it's what made me feel probably the worst I've ever felt in my life. I don't know if you'd want to tell anything, Nick, or nah. I figured that.
Yeah, and probably get the video taken down.
But let's just say we've all had very bad things happen to us, and Jaden is about to share one that happened to her.
Well, I could give you one that won't get the video taken down, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
I know you guys have always probably heard, but I don't know how many people have actually come into contact with one. My mom always drilled into me not to ever touch caterpillars I didn't know about when I was a kid.
I remember this one.
Yeah, and so I didn't. Like, I always stayed away from them. You know, I would look but not touch if I ever saw a caterpillar that I didn't know what it was and such. There was at least, you know, the little black and orange caterpillars that, like, were harmless around here.
Yeah.
And it was always neat to see, like, one of those. But so I was at scout camp. We were playing out behind, like, our tents, and it's, like, a wooded area and such, you know, and running through, like, trees and leaves and all kinds of... gallivanting. Yeah, just much woodland, you know. Probably really lucky we didn't step on any copperheads or anything. But anyways... I look down at my shirt at one point, and I see on the front of my shirt what I assume is one of those little prickly things off of a tree that gets stuck to your clothes. They have these little burrs, and they just kind of get stuck on, you know, your jeans.
Yeah,
and everywhere else.
I've had those before.
Like kind of like the acorn shells, you know.
Yeah,
And so I reach down to brush it off, and it feels like my hand catches on fire as soon as I touch it. And it's basically a type of caterpillar that I guess camouflages itself kind of like that. And it's a moth larva. And it took us like years and years to actually find out what kind of moth larva that was. But yeah, you don't want to touch them. They sting the living shit out of you.
And how long did it affect you?
It was like for an entire 24 hours that my hand felt like it was on fire. And like actually went all the way up to my shoulder. So it's like the venom,
just from a small brushing.
You know, I could feel the venom like flowing through my arm and shit, and it like basically felt like I would probably equate it, even though I never broken a bone, to probably what it feels like to break your arm, because it was like a thing where I told them like, "Oh, just cut my arm off, just cut my arm off," like,
yeah,
because it hurt that bad.
I gotta say, probably one of the worst pains I've ever had, like that in terms of physical pain, was my knee. Now, I can't equate it to something like that. Like, my knee wasn't on fire or anything like that, but it did feel like in an instant, like I felt a snap right here, and when they took me to the hospital, they told me my MCL and my meniscus was torn. My ACL was still intact, but they showed me what they'd have to do. And they managed to do the arthroscopic surgery and all that. But I remembered when I did it in the game, I was trying to get back on the line, and something was wrong. I couldn't get stable. Like, I put weight on this leg, and then all of a sudden my knee would buckle. And I'm just like, shit, what's going on? And then after that last play was over, I waved at the coach like something's wrong. And then I went over and, you know, he told me, you know, take a seat. The team doctor will look at you. Team doctor was this old man. He was like our equipment manager and shit like that. He looks at it and he sees that it's starting to swell up a little bit. And he's like, "Oh, I think you tore something." And I'm like, "Oh no." And they take me to the hospital. And I think it was on the way to the hospital. The adrenaline was wearing off. I left during the game, but the adrenaline was wearing off. And then all of a sudden, like every little small movement in my leg, like any muscle movement was just like a small like pong, like someone was like hitting me in the knee with something, and I'm like, oh damn.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing too, is I've heard that adrenaline kind of dulls pain on situations like that for an amount of time.
It does.
Well, I got an adrenaline spike after I got it for sure, but not once did it dull the pain to a point where I didn't care for any amount of time.
And that's what scares me about what you're talking about with the moth larva.
Was fucking bad.
That sucks, dude. That fucking sucks. But
it's basically like having fire pumped inside your veins is like the closest thing I could equate it to. Like, it's like boiling water pumped into your veins, essentially.
Oh.
It feels fucking awful.
It reminds me of that one movie where a dude literally had acid IV'd into his arm.
Yeah, messed up.
Oh yeah, and it was slow burning acid too. So by the time it got up his arm,
inside out.
Yeah, it literally melted his insides. Yeah. It was fucked. It's one of the most fucked movie scenes I've ever seen. I forget what movie it was too, but
I think in one of the Cube movies, somebody got like impaled with a thing that like put acid in them, and they just slowly melted back off of the thing that was impaling them or whatever. Might not have been one of those, but I remember seeing that in a movie at some point where someone just got impaled by a bunch of like spikes that were like hypodermic needles. Maybe one of the Saw films. I can't remember.
I think so. I remember the one where the second Saw movie, they threw Amanda into the pit of all the
hypodermic
drug needles.
Yeah, but this was like actually like acid got pumped into them and they melted off the spikes.
Oh,
It's fucked up.
you ain't kidding. But anyway, speaking of bad things happening to people, Jaden Animations released a video. We're going to give it a watch, and we are going to see what bad thing, what horrible, terrible, awful thing happened to Jaden. Here we go.
So imagine this. It's Christmas Eve. You're getting ready for bed and everything is prepared for the perfect Christmas morning. Chestnuts are roasting on an open fire. The cookies are out. The house is silent and calm. Everyone has the standard things on their Christmas list. Puppies, Nintendo Switches, for father to finally find milk. But yours is different. All your life, you've loved and have been fascinated by insects. You were teased in school for catching ladybugs in the bushes, ostracized from everyone for gleefully watching the grasshoppers. You've spent years trying to repress your love for bugs, but you're finally embracing it. This year is different. You're going to ask Santa for the one thing that brings you joy in life. Ants. You tuck yourself into bed, awaiting the early morning to see if your wish comes true. And as you're thinking about parenting your future ants, your eyelids feel heavy as you drift off to sleep. You don't know how many hours have passed, but you're suddenly awakened by a strange sensation. Your body is burning, flaring up, itching everywhere. The worst itching you've ever experienced in your life. What's happening? Is it a Christmas miracle? Did you finally receive the ants you were desperately hoping for? Your skin is getting more and more itchy by the second. You're in the most discomfort you've ever felt, and you feel like you're gonna cry from pain. No doubt about it. Ants. All over. You rip open the sheets to find... Oh... It's not a whole colony of ants attacking you. It's hives. So back to me. I've never had hives until last December, and it was the worst thing that's ever physically happened to me.
Oh,
Around
God.
the night of the 21st, I was relaxing and playing video games on my couch. Ari was on me because it's snuggly and nice, but about an hour or so in, I started feeling itchy around my neck and shoulders where he'd been sitting. I didn't think much of it, but when I was getting ready for bed, I realized the area that was itchy was actually kind of red. On paper, that seems a bit like... that's not really normal, but you scratch yourself all the time and get a bit red. I just thought, Ari's nails are probably a bit too long and irritated my skin. I'll have to cut them tomorrow, and left it at that. 4 a.m., I'm woken up by more itchy. I itched it, and it got double itchy. Well, that doesn't seem right. I went to the bathroom to see what was up, and the area that was irritated before was even more red, and maybe a bit bigger this time. I can't remember. It was 4 a.m. I was like, that's not great. And then went back to bed. I mean, there wasn't anything I could do about it. I didn't have any anti-itch cream or anything. All I've got is an expired bottle of mini ibuprofens and a dried out cleaning wipe. The next morning after a bad night's sleep, I got out of bed and whoop, it spread to my back. Yep, this is not good. Did I do anything about it? Nope. I was like, well, I sure hope this
Girl,
somehow. I'm gonna go to work now. But after like an...
Okay.
You gotta do something about stuff like that.
You have to. I mean, look, when I was sick over the last 3 months, I believe what happened... okay, by the way, just in case you haven't heard, I tested positive for the coronavirus antibodies. So I've had coronavirus apparently at one point. I think what happened was, early on, all of us got sick. All of us. Nick, Jacob, Nikki, and Chad all got sick, and I was the last one to get sick. What happened was, I stopped taking my medicine when I thought I was over it. I was wrong, because apparently the sickness that I had gave me pneumonia. And then I had to take even more medicine for even longer to get over the pneumonia, and now I'm all good now. So what I think happened was, I got coronavirus. It ripped my immune system in two to where it couldn't fight off an infection like pneumonia. And and when I stopped taking my medicine, my antibiotics, my body was just like, oh, guess what's going to happen now? I'm going to fuck you up even more. And that's what happened. So I think that's effectively how that was. But even when I realized I was having trouble breathing, like it literally felt like someone had a belt around my abdomen right here and was just like tightening it up. You know, had like a little stick that was tightening it up by the notch every single day.
Now you know what asthma feels like, but it just happens randomly throughout the day.
And I even got the same kind of inhaler that you use for your asthma. And I mean, my cousin Zach has asthma. My Aunt Glenda has asthma. My grandmother had asthma. I mean, yeah, it's on one side of my family. Thankfully, I got my dad's side. You know, high blood pressure. That's a whole other barrel of fun. So, health problems on both sides. I'd have really gotten the short end of the stick if I got both asthma and high blood pressure. Then I'd be screwed.
My mom's side of the family, like, everyone gets cancer, apparently. So that's fun. My dad's side of the family, my dad's been pretty decent. I definitely got his acid reflux. But other than that, like, his brother, my uncle, does have diabetes and heart problems. So, yeah, I got all kinds of genetics that are just like, yeah, you're probably going to die from something at some point.
Shitty genetics. Don't worry. Every family member.
Luckily,
I don't know anybody that has a perfect bill of health.
The lucky thing is at least that everyone in my family who has had cancer has beaten it.
That's good.
So that's at least probably an okay sign. Like, I'm probably going to end up with cancer at some point, but at least I have a pretty good chance of beating it if I do. So
that's good.
Yeah, it's good to know at least.
That's really good. So. Yes.
Unless I'm the idiot that ends up with lung cancer because I smoked for a decade, and in which case I'm probably screwed because lung cancer is really hard to beat. So.
It is, but there's ways it can be beaten now.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, back to it.
An hour of sweating from discomfort and getting nothing done, I decided, yeah, I should probably go to urgent care. So I went to urgent care.
Yes.
Have you eaten anything new or that you're allergic to? No. Have you taken any medication that's new or you're allergic to?
No.
Have you been bitten by any bugs you might be allergic to? No. Looks like dermatitis. So I got a dermatitis diagnosis, picked up the pills and lotion he prescribed me, and by the time I got home, I was so itchy it started to feel like actual pain. I ran into my room and immediately took the medication and started hoping I would feel better soon. All I could do was lay on my bed and do nothing because every time I moved or touched something, it would send shocks of pain and irritation down my body.
That's how it goes.
I preferred not to have that. I decided to call my friend to tell them what was happening, to keep my mind off everything, and use them for moral support because I was going crazy. After maybe an hour, I was like, actually, I think I feel absolutely worse. Everywhere I put the lotion was even more red and itchy. It was spreading to my legs and hands, and I felt like I provoked the devil. This must be the karma for swearing that one time. I told my friend, I'm in so much pain and discomfort, I can't think straight, and I've been sitting on the floor not being able to move for 30 minutes. What should I do?
She needed to take a Benadryl.
You think so? Yes, go to the hospital. I don't know, maybe if I just wait a bit more, go to the hospital.
Go to the hospital, Jaden.
I arrived at the hospital and hobbled in the best I could because the feeling of my shoes and clothes rubbing against my skin made me want to cry. They were really busy, so I had to sit on a bench in a hallway for about an hour. I was finally taken to a bed, given a shot along with a mystery pill, and about 40 minutes later, I felt better.
Yeah,
but
the
they kept me
mystery
there
pill
for
was
4
probably
more hours
Benadryl.
just to be-
And that shot they probably gave her was a steroid or something.
Yep, it was a steroid injection, and the shot was Benadryl.
There you go.
Yeah, because I have ADD. Fuck off, man. Eczema.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
eczema is essentially. I have some on my fingers right now too. It manifests in the terms of like little bitty like blisters, usually, or like dry and cracked skin. I got it like really bad like a long time ago as a kid, like on my insides of my elbows throughout the summer. And come to find out, mine is absolutely 100% allergy triggered. And so the treatment for it is this cream that's a steroid cream.
Yes.
And I'll put it on one time, it just goes away like a couple hours later. It's crazy how fast it actually heals up that crap.
That's good.
Yeah, it's like basically, so Benadryl can help it. Just taking regular allergy medicine can help it. So like hives are basically kind of a similar deal as an allergic reaction. So Benadryl, like if you're starting to break out in hives, take a Benadryl for sure.
Yeah. I don't have anything like that, but instead what I do have is something called tinea versicolor, which is a offshoot of sickle cell anemia, although it is nowhere near as severe as that, but it does cause very big skin blotches around my arms and on my and around my neck right here. So you can probably see it right there a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it sucks.
Yeah, one of the things that happens to me, though, is anytime I pet Shorty or Lulu for any amount of time,
Yeah, it flares up
a
little bit.
Little blisters on my fingers from it. But it's all right. They're not really painful. Like, they just kind of suck.
Irritate. They just irritate you a little bit.
The bad thing is my anxiety makes me sometimes pick them open, and then they hurt. But,
yeah.
And as long as I don't pick at them, they're fine. Like, they don't hurt or anything. They go away in like a day.
Yeah, this stuff right
And
here.
it's not like a gross blister. They're like tiny, tiny dots, you know. But.
Yeah. Well, these right here, sometimes they go away after a little bit of amount of time. But when I was around 15 or 16, literally I had an entire blotch pretty much cover this entire section of my arm.
Damn.
And on my neck and shoulder, it went down to here and like halfway down my back, like right there. And I asked
guessing it's basically just like red blood cells that are leaking out and just sticking there.
Yes.
Pretty much.
And effectively what that means is, the doctor, the medicine to get rid of it whenever it flares up really bad is very expensive. Even on insurance, you know how much the pills cost? Like a month treatment? Almost $200.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
On insurance. That's with insurance. Without it, I'm afraid to guess how much it would be. But anyway, sorry. We're back to it.
Be safe. By the time I got home, I was sighing with relief. It felt so good to not be in total body pain and wanting to claw my skin off. I'd forgotten that feeling. The hospital gave me a new prescription because they were like, pretty sure you have hives, not dermatitis. But I didn't get it filled because it was late and I figured I could just get the new medication tomorrow since I was feeling alright. The good thing was I was feeling better and had the right diagnosis. But the scary thing that got me worried was this all started when Ari was on me. The flare-up started in the exact area he was sitting on the other night, so if I hadn't eaten or done anything different from my usual day-to-day life, could that mean I developed a really bad allergic reaction to him? So that terrified me a bit. Anyways, I had plans to see my family for Christmas and was worried that I'd have to miss my flight because of this, but things seemed all good now. 1 a.m., woke up, itchy. It was back, and ready to absolutely just kick my teeth in. I wasn't freed from this hive's curse. I'd only escaped its grasp for a few hours.
Oh.
It wasn't at its worst yet, but I knew it wouldn't take long to get there.
Should have got your prescription filled.
24-hour pharmacy to pick up my new prescription, took it, and then just got an Uber
That's
to the
lucky
airport.
there's a 24-hour pharmacy
sleep.
where you live, because I don't think there is one near here.
No, there isn't. Like all the pharmacies around here, they close at like 7 or 8.
Yeah, you're fucking screwed here if you don't get your shit filled before 8 p.m.
Yeah, lucky you, Jaden. Lucky you.
Early flight? Not really. I'm just getting there early. Well, it's always good to be early for flights. When is it? 3 p.m. I tried to get a bit of sleep in the airport, but it didn't work. The good thing was that the prescription was doing a relatively good job at keeping back the hives. I could still feel the itchy, but it was like muffled, if that makes sense. I got on my flight no problems and landed in Arizona to my very calm parents who were like, hives? Are you okay? How'd you get hives? Are you okay? The hives had been manageable the whole day until I was getting ready to go to bed and they started flaring up again, this time worse than ever. I thought I'd experienced pain before, but the hives were mocking me. The previous ones were teasers. This time they were dishing up the main course. Everything was put into mega gear.
Oh, no. I love that reference.
Yeah.
See if you like this, bit. Off to the hospital we went, 12 o'clock at night. We arrived at a normal hospital first, and by the time we arrived, I could barely walk. I was in so much pain and agony. I shuffled in, hunched over like I was 95 years old and about to just fall over and turn to dust immediately. Also, I was actually crying at this point. No, oh, I'm gonna cry, this hurts, boo-hoo. Nah, this time was like, yeah, time to cry now. I wasn't having a good time. We sat there for maybe 40 minutes and no one was helping us, so my dad asked how long they estimated the wait would be, to which they said an hour, so we were like, My dad decided to take me to a local urgent care because they've got a family friend who works there. It was more familiar, and also probably less busy. We arrived and had a bit of a wait, but I was finally admitted into a room. The doctor walked in and was like, Yep, looks like hives, and stuck me with an EpiPen. I'm lucky enough to not have any really bad allergies like peanuts or something. I know a good amount of people who are like, lol, if I sniff the smallest dust fragment of a peanut, my body will just give up on me. So they have an EpiPen on them at all times. I'm allergic to cats, but they just make me sneeze, so I've never experienced the magic of an EpiPen before. And my God, that thing was like Jesus just being injected straight into my blood. Within seconds, my body started feeling better.
Fucking adrenaline
and all
shot.
my hives cleared up immediately. If you've never almost died from an allergic reaction, I totally hope you have one just so you can experience the magic.
Okay, that's a bit cruel, Jaden.
The look on her face. She's like, wait, I
wait.
probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. That's the same.
Everybody's like, dude, for real?
That's the same kind of hot water Mother Teresa got in for saying, those who know suffering are the only ones who will know true peace. And I'm like, whoa!
Yeah.
Hold the phone! That's a bit much.
I don't believe that's accurate. I believe those who know suffering will have a more enhanced appreciation of peace.
That's true. And some say,
but you can still appreciate it without knowing suffering.
Well, true. And I think that's in fact what Mother Teresa meant.
Also, through empathy, you can gain a similar appreciation as well.
True. And I think when Mother Teresa said it, it was actually probably more like, I think, because when they did the quote, it was oral. It was an orally told story. That's what she said. No one actually heard her say it. Mm. I think that's in turn what she meant from it. But by the interpretation, because, she didn't speak English that well, so I think that's the main problem there. Things got lost in translation. But what Jaden's saying here, I think, is just like, she went through it, and the miraculous way that it healed her, it actually is, it's kind of cool, because I've witnessed what an EpiPen does to someone who's just like in like anaphylactic shock or something like that. Oh yeah,
it's a really fast reaction. It has to be to save you.
It's all of a sudden you're just like, oh
yeah,
oh my God, and it's just like that scene from Pulp Fiction where John Travolta stabs Uma Thurman in the chest with the needle. That's real.
Yeah,
it hits you like a friggin' freight train. You're like,
I can't remember. It wasn't them who did the funny camera thing with that, was it? Like, what was... Oh, yeah, it was fucking Get Him to the Greek.
Yeah, Jonah Hill.
Like, oh, I'm alive! The camera's, like, attached to his chest, and he just, like, fucking... It looks like he just stands up like fucking... Like, contraption stands him up.
And then he's still got the EpiPen stuck in his chest, running around. Yeah. And next thing you know...
It's one of my favorite comedy scenes.
He's, like, running around like, ah! And, like, people are throwing stuff at him and everything, and he's freaking out because he's also high on the Jeffrey.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's the thing about the Jeffrey, is that once it goes away, it comes right back. So he was high on the Jeffrey, also high on adrenaline.
That was a fantastic scene.
Oh, it's a hilarious scene. It's one of my favorites in the movie. Also, the part where Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, sorry, I said Puff Daddy, don't want him to kill me. When P. Diddy is chasing them down the hallway, it's like, you cannot outrun me! I am black!
Like,
and then he chases them outside, and he's like, and that's how you mind fuck somebody. Alright.
Anyways.
Sorry, back to the video.
I mean, I hope you never almost die, but I'm just saying, if you do. Anyway, problem solved. The doctor didn't really say anything else. He kind of just gave me the EpiPen and sent me on my way when he saw I was doing better, which, fair enough. I went to bed in relief. Finally, it was all over. I can have a nice Christmas after all with my family and live on in peace. 8 a.m.
Or does she?
Woke up. Hives all over. This time,
oh, no.
I wanted to just close my eyes again.
It keeps happening.
And perish. Oh, this one. This was the worst it had ever been. I didn't even know it was possible to experience this level of itchy combined with unbearable pain. I was in awe. It's amazing how absolutely torturous this pain is right now. And I haven't even been stabbed. The day before, when I said it was in Mega Gear and the main course, I was kidding. This was one of those meals where they give you the appetizers and the main course, but surprise, the dessert is a knuckle sandwich. All the hives in the world were like, this one. Let's get this one. I was covered in bumps and red. My mom looked at me right before we were about to go to urgent care, and her face was like, I don't think there's any words that could describe how absolutely abhorrent and atrocious I felt. The itchiness was so extreme, it felt like needles all over. Every time something just grazed my skin, it felt like, yep, it's time to die. See y'all later.
This is
Arrived
death.
at urgent care, couldn't move, looked like a boiled diseased shrimp. This time we got Dr. Cruz, our family friend I mentioned earlier. He's super nice and caring and an amazing doctor to go along with it. First of all, I got another EpiPen. Yay! And then he prescribed me like 4 new medications, none of which I remember the names of, but one of them was steroids. I can now say I've been on steroids before. So yeah. I can probably beat you all in football now. I'll cut the fat and just say the medications Dr. Cruz prescribed me were it. They were the ones that blocked the hives and helped me recover. I've been freed for the first time in 3 days, and they never came back after that. I took some blood tests, and turns out I didn't test positive in any allergic reactions they looked for. I was able to come home, and Ari didn't make me flare up, so I wasn't allergic to him. That was a huge relief.
Widow
I had
Ari.
to seriously consider if I would have to get rid of Ari if he was the one giving me hives, because I just couldn't live with hives that extreme. But it wasn't, so we're good. The only thing we could conclude was it was just caused by a huge buildup of stress. I'd been really busy and burnt out from a bunch of conventions and traveling up until that point, so they said, yeah, stress
Don't do that.
combined with an immune system glitch is probably what caused it. We don't know what else it could be. And we're like, alright. And I haven't had hives since. So moral of the story is take breaks before your immune system turns on you. Because let me tell ya, your immune system does not hold back.
Just wanted to make this clear. I'm all good now. This happened back in December, and I've been fine ever since, so don't worry. I've been doing well in terms of convention burnout as well, mainly because I haven't gone to any because they're all canceled, but hey, it works. But yeah, in the future I think I'm gonna have to stop going to some conventions just because it's getting more and more hard to handle them. I enjoy being able to see and meet you guys in person, but yeah, it's getting really hard for me because they're a lot to handle for me mentally and physically. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully it didn't freak you out or anything. I think the reason I hated hives so much is because itchiness is something I cannot handle. I much prefer being in actual pain than being in unbearable itchiness. I don't know if that's a common preference or not. Let me know what you prefer. Alright, see you later.
One of the team was Ornstein from Dark Souls.
Oh, that's...
Slash the old Dragon Slayer. The bottom right, JRF.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Praise the sun.
Praise the sun. Yes. So I guarantee you the steroids that she got was probably prednisone.
Probably.
Because prednisone is probably the most prescribed.
It's kind of the universal, like, either you are very sick or having an allergic reaction steroid type thing.
Yes. It's pretty much like the universally most prescribed steroid. And I had...
also, it kind of sounds like there could be a chance she did come into contact with something she didn't realize that she was allergic to, but...
Maybe.
It's weird that, like, nothing did show up on an allergy test, because usually they'll be able to find something you're allergic to on an allergy test if that's the case, so...
Well...
That's crazy that, like, stress could just, like, set off your immune system like that.
Well, Jaden herself said she is allergic to cats, and I guarantee you she probably told that to them so they didn't search for that. You know, they didn't waste the time and effort going for that. But the thing with her, like, stress is a big thing that can cause a lot of illnesses. I mean, my mom had a very bad case of you know, she broke out really bad. Like, she actually itched herself, scratched her, it itched so bad. She actually scratched, like, a really bad place on her forehead, like, right here. It looked like someone had just, like, took a blowtorch to her face right here. And because it bled through, and when it was healing over and scabbing, it was like a big, like, ugly brown mark on her face. And she kept, like, every time I came over, she would just be like, I'm ugly. And I'm like, Mom, calm down. It's okay. And the stress was from my sister... and my sister's divorce, my aunt, like my mom's friend, my mom's business, which is a hairless cat business. You know, she sells Sphinx cats, anti-Sphinx cattery, in case you're wondering. And yeah, so all that stress compiled up is what equated to that happening to her. And I remember going over and after she got the prednisone, like she was eating everything that wasn't nailed down, because that's what prednisone. That's one of the side effects of prednisone that can affect you, is that you're hungry pretty much all the time, and you just want to eat. Mm-hmm. And you also have very bad mood swings.
Screws
sometimes.
Up your sleep schedule too.
Yes, especially if you take it after. I think if you especially take it after, like, I think.
If you try to take it before you go to bed, which is what I was doing, because that's when I take all of my medicine.
That's when it'll mess you up.
Yeah, it can.
You're
really
supposed to take it when you wake up.
Yeah, I actually had a situation when I was sick recently. I believe probably the time that I'm assuming I also had COVID-19, because Nate's got the antibodies for it, and I was sick like right before Nate got sick with something. And they tested me for the flu, and that wasn't it. And we already knew about COVID at that point. But they were like, nah, it doesn't sound exactly like it as far as we know. So they didn't give me a test for it. And I don't even think they had the test at that point yet, because it was so early in the time of it being a thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, they fucked up and gave me a prescription for steroids, like prednisone. And the pharmacy fucked up the text of how much I was supposed to take and had me taking like a quadruple dose of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
First night, before I realized, like, whenever I was recounting the numbers in the bottle, like, all right, let me make sure I'm good. And then I realized something was off. The first night, I remember, like, I had so much trouble sleeping, and I was assuming it was just because I was sick as hell. But it was definitely, like, I just tossed and turned, like, the entire night, and it was because of the steroids.
Well, yeah, it makes you restless. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I remembered when I first started taking them, I actually made the mistake, and I took all of my medicines together. I hallucinated, dude. I hallucinated. I legit was in my room, sitting there looking up at the ceiling, and just like, I was like, am I face down? What the fuck? What's going on? Like, is the door open? Where's Lulu? Is Lulu in here? Like, what's going on? And it was miserable all night. And then I was like, okay, I'm taking my steroids in the morning, and then I'm taking everything else at night, which was like my antibacterials, my and I had to take food. I had to eat food whenever I took my medicine, otherwise it would make me sick. That's the thing. I mean, they always recommend for most medicines you have to at least eat something. It was required that I had to eat food before I took my prednisone and before I took my antibacterials, because if I didn't, I'd have vomited it back up. And yeah, so that was a whole situation that I'm glad that I'm over now. Thank goodness. But for 3 months I was dealing with like breathing problems and everything, and I never want to go through it again. Never.
Fucking sucks.
It does. I've got this anti-allergy
dealt
medicine.
with them for like years at a time because of asthma.
Oh yeah, I would hate to have asthma, dude, because if that shit attacks you at random and you don't have your inhaler nearby, dude, that would scare the shit out of me.
I've actually had it happen before. Like I forgot my inhaler without realizing it, like at the house, and I've been down at Andrews and I started to have an asthma attack because of his pets and his smoking in his room and everything, and my own smoking at the time. Yeah, like driving back home to get that fucking inhaler is not a fun car ride.
Oh, I bet, because he lives pretty far out from a little
fucking driving like. Oh God, it fucking sucks.
Yeah, you're trying to breathe all the way in,
yeah.
but it's like that belt. It's like that belt around your ribs is just tightening more and more minute by minute, and you're just like, just let me get home. Just let me get back to the house. God,
I've had hives before too, but they've never gotten to the point of Jaden's, thankfully for me. But yeah, like they can get very itchy and very annoying very fast.
Yeah, they can
start to hurt after not much time.
Yeah, well, I hope Jade. Well, I'm glad Jaden's feeling better, and I hope that she stays. I hope that she stays good because
my recommendation to Jaden though is if you ever see it start to happen again, obviously since you got this bad the first time, like you probably want to go to urgent care and tell them it's happening. But go ahead and take a Benadryl.
Yes,
because there's a good chance that the Benadryl might actually stop it from actually happening. Like if it does happen to be something you just didn't realize you're allergic to somehow, it's Benadryl.
And of course, now that you know the solution, just
a piece of life advice for everyone else, by the way, wrapping it back around to my story from the beginning where I got stung. If you ever get stung by anything, especially if you've never been stung by anything before, go ahead and take a Benadryl. Because if you do happen to be allergic to it, the Benadryl could actually keep you from having an anaphylactic shock.
Yes.
So, just a pro tip as well.
And so anyway, I guess that's going to do it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. This was The Worst Thing That's Ever Happened to Me by Jaden Animations. We hope that you enjoyed. And I guess until next time, everybody, signing off, I'm Nate.
I am Nick.
We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.